Warning, there are spoilers for the season 3 finale ahead, so if you're one of the slow, uncultured, uneducated, fake fans who didn't watch this as it aired on Adult Swim or illegally online immediately after, then you're just too simple to understand the intricate nuance of my geniusly flawless theory, so get the fuck out of here. For the rest of you, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications for every new Rick and Morty episode that I do from here on out. I want to start off this episode by saying very clearly that I knew before they revealed that I was right in the episode when Fisherman Rick went to the president and said that realities had been swapped. I knew it was our Rick who was lying, who was yanking his chains, pulling his leg, signing his bill, if you will. So that it was really our Rick just pretending was going to be in this episode if they hadn't already confirmed it, but they did. So clearly that means that you can believe everything that's in this video because I'm on the same wavelength as the creators. Justin Roiland, Dan Harmon, we're like this, but in the mind. So here we go. All right, so it's been a pretty common running theme throughout all of Rick and Morty that Rick knows that he's in a TV show. He breaks the fourth wall constantly, all the time. He says like after the commercial break and like that's the end of season 1. He literally said that's the end of season 1.
That's the end of season 1.
Like he knows he's in a TV show. This is a running joke, but it also enhances the fact that he's so much of a super genius. He realizes that he's in a TV show and everything is meaningless because he's in a TV show, and he knows that, and that's why he knows that everything is not real. He knows it, but really nobody else has broken the fourth wall like that before, except for Mr. Poopy Butthole. But we'll get there in a minute. But in this episode, we see at the end of the episode, Beth, she says that things are going to be a lot like they were in season 1.
We're a real family now. In many ways, things will be like season 1, but more streamlined.
So she's now breaking the fourth wall too, even though in the beginning of the she knows she's so much of a genius now that she might, like in the last episode, that's what we saw. We saw that she's so much of a genius like her father. So she's breaking the fourth wall. But I also want to observe something. Morty himself, he acknowledged that the fourth wall, that he broke it too.
How do you like that, Morty?
Whoa, just like Minecraft.
Ooh, a tiny nuclear-capable species just got discovered in the Amazon. Let's go make first contact before someone else gets all their shit.
What about this?
South Park did it 4 years ago, Morty.
They're fast.
Or we're slow.
Then that's them acknowledging that they're in a TV show and they're 4 years late to do the Minecraft references, which they did a lot of. They did a lot of that, and maybe that's important. We'll get there in another episode, probably 3 weeks from now. Make sure you subscribe to see all of the theories that are coming. But back on track here. So Morty now knows that they're in the fourth wall. So if they all are starting to know this and talk about it casually, if Morty knows it, then that must mean that that's just further evidence that Morty is Rick, and because of that, Rick is gonna have to kill Morty because of the whole clone debacle thing. This just proves it. Rick is Morty, and Morty is Rick. And this clip right here, this has nothing to do with my theory, but I think it's hilarious.
Are there pants?
They said you'd prefer just a shirt. Apparently you have a need to swing your dick around?
And this clip also has nothing to do with my theory, but I'm back on track. Remember earlier in the season when we saw tall Morty or slow Rick he asked if he graduated yet. How long has he been there? Forever, because Morty is Rick, so that Morty was there so long that he grew up and he became Rick, and just like that, this Morty is starting to become Rick because he's breaking the fourth wall. But I said Mr. Poopy Butthole does that too. Give us 1 second. We'll get there in one more second. So in this episode, Rick solves the Palestinian-Israeli conflict because he's a super genius, and if you don't get the nuance of how to solve it, then you're fucking dumb. So he solves the conflict, but it's not solved in our world right here, right now. So that means Rick and Morty doesn't take place in this reality, confirmed. So that's exciting. I theorized about that 4 months back now, before season 3 even came out. If you make sure to subscribe and get notified, you'd know every time that I uploaded a new theory. And they always get proved right, and they always will. So back to Mr. Poopy Butthole, but in this episode, time has passed for him, and now he's married and he has a Poopy Butthole kid, a Poopy Butthole Jr., if you will, and it's Mrs. Poopy Butthole with him also, assuming she took his last name. We don't know. But he talks to the audience again like he did at the end of season 2. But he's not mentioned in the show. And time has passed for him like it has for us, the 2 years since the end, since we last saw him in season 2. So that means that time is passing the same for him as it is for us. But we're not in Rick and Morty's reality because time doesn't really pass that often between the seasons. It hasn't been 2 years since he wasn't in the prison for 2 years. So that means that Mr. Poopy Butthole must exist in this reality if time's passing the same for us, and he's talking to us, and that means that for one episode, the episode that he was in, it had to have taken place in this reality. So when they're reality hopping, that means that that sometimes they're here, or maybe it's not. You know what? It's not the same Rick and Morty. Every episode we're watching a new one because infinite possibilities. So that means that even though there are infinite that are different, and that we'd be like, what are they doing? Why are they pineapples now? There are infinite that would be so similar. Shut up. So similar that that we couldn't tell, because Rick is Morty and all Ricks are Ricks, and we're watching. Thank you for watching. I'll be posting another theory every week from now until the end of time. So if you want to see more of that, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. Thank you.